Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
On today's episode, rekindle the embers, young one. This is Oter of the Flame. Welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm having Icehead Gil flashbacks. It's Moxie the Yeen, here with my keeper of the first flame, Isekai Sensei-Sama Brad. Brad, how you doing?
So far away, we wait for the day. For the lives all so wasted and gone. We feel the pain of the lifetime lost in 1,000 days. Through the fire and the flame, we carry on.
It's pretty rad. And today we are back with an unexpected new Shonen Jump drop that I learned days before it was dropping. Probably could have known earlier, but didn't. So here we are, express recording it for you. And this is, as stated, Oter of the Flame. Is that what we've agreed on?
Oter, yeah.
We've discussed off mic Oter or Otter, but Otter seems too weird. Not weird, but like I just think about otters.
We'll get into it a little bit. We've got some information on that. But I was thinking, all of these are quick drops, like when we do this. But yeah, we didn't know about it until
this is
2 days ago or whatever.
Up. We have some really numeral-specific things coming up that this almost derailed entirely. But
I was just thinking, we really need to get big enough that
Shonen Jump bends the knee to us instead of the other way around.
But it would be good if Viz would just like shoot us an email a couple weeks before,
and not just we have to constantly hawk the Twitter and get a bunch of extra because it's like constantly it's like there's a new Shonen Jump Plus thing, and I'm just like I can't keep track of all those. There's a billion of them.
Yeah.
But let's focus on what we're doing now. So this is Oter of the Flame. This is by Yuki Kawaguchi of Red Hood fame, which at some point we will cover, because that is a Shonen Jump flop that is like discussed a lot.
Yep. It comes up all the time. It comes up.
I haven't. Maybe my opinion will change after I read it, because I know I read a little bit at the time, but that was like before Flop Court and before like I stuck with these things a little bit more. But I could almost say maybe a little too much. But maybe my opinion will change when I actually take it in, and I'm not just like, oh my gosh, you're talking about it again, and I'll be like, yeah, let's talk about Red Hood again. But we'll get there. I see you have the translated by the lettering. We should do that more often. Good thinking.
I specifically picked this one out because it's translated by Luffy.
By Dan Luffy. And
I think it's probably Luffy.
Luffy, yeah.
But maybe. I was like, interesting.
King of the Pirates is translating this manga with lettering by Sabrina He. We should keep track of that, because I feel like we'd see names over and over again and be like, oh, hey, it's you. I think that'd be a fun little pastime.
There are a bunch, because, there's obviously a lot of overlap in these, and a lot of these people have been on Shonen Flop before.
Yes.
So,
that also makes it more interesting.
When it's David Evelyn or
Stephen
Paul or anybody like that, it's like, hey, look, it jumps out at you. But
and then we'd be like, oh my gosh, there's a newbie. Like, it'd be exciting.
This one jumped out at me because it's Luffy.
Yeah. I'm going to attempt the summary, but there's a lot of Norse names that I'm going to just have to stop dead in my tracks, which I know you have guides for.
They're too bad. There was only the one that I wrote down a very specific pronunciation for.
Okay, I guess if we'll get there when we get there. Side note with why I'm unsure of what Brad's written. Brad wrote the summary because he's a real one, and I had other things today that I took more time than expected and was unable.
Talk about speed run summary. This was written very quickly.
It's what happens when the manga drops at 11 a.m. and you record that night. And you also have to live your life because you weren't expecting there to be a new Jump thing dropping. So with that out of the way,
By the way, it's Mother's Day.
Also, it's Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Linda.
My wife and my mother and my mother-in-law, who I'm not spending the evening with.
Right. Spending it here together talking about manga that has no moms in it. I think. We don't know that yet. There's a mommy.
Well.
We are so getting ahead of ourselves. Time for my patented Moxie's Mox Speed manga summary. The spirit warmed the warrior's freezing fingers and provided power. Thus, the evil king fell. The warrior became a hero, and having fulfilled its duty, the spirit melted back into nature. Sagas like these have been a spiritual warmth during the unbreakable cold of winter for Otter. Living a subsistence lifestyle in his village away from the front lines, his life has been peaceful, but otherwise marred by the war with the demonic Ice Kingdom. Being the only one left to take care of his younger sister, Sana, Otter fills his days by helping out the village folk and doing his favorite activity, cooking. Today is a special day.
Cooking Mama.
Cooking Mama. There you go. Cooking Otter. Today is a special day. It's Sana's birthday. He's acquired some good meat for her birthday dinner. But it's also an auspicious day. Tomorrow, he's heading out to the front lines. But as a child, he won't be fighting. Instead, he's going to be a cook, the perfect job for him. He'll need to keep the fires lit and the mead warm. It shouldn't be too dangerous. But Sana is still worried. They've already lost their father to this war, and she knows of her brother's desires to be a warrior and make it to Valhalla. Otar stays up late, putting the finishing touches on his armor and packing, quietly reciting sagas as Sana drifts off to sleep. The next morning, Otar is sent off with many gifts by the village folk. They express their happiness that Otar is only going as a cook, since they see him as a kind boy who wouldn't make it as a warrior. Sana shows up last with an important gift. She gives him is it brazier?
Brazier.
Brazier.
Or brazier.
Brazier. I think brazier is probably the better wording for it. Brazier containing a fire lit by the village's holy flame. The spirit of this flame may be able to keep everybody warm. May the spirits protect you, they say in an exchanged blessing. After a cold sea journey, Otar arrives at a fort with a troop of reinforcements. The scene that greets them is eye-opening for him. Many warriors are having their wounds treated, many of whom, it seems, shouldn't be able to fight on, but persist nonetheless. Otar is confronted by the fortress captain, Alajoki?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. Alajoki. They tell him not to stray far from his own battlefield in the kitchen, because keeping these warriors fed and warm with mead is vital. Make sure you never let the fires go out. But you need to ration the firewood, too. Otar says a blessing as he blows on the fire. Alajoki questions this, as the breath is akin to the soul, and using too much breath could let the fire swallow him up. Otar asks if he can have a sword, since if he can't die while fighting, he won't be able to see his father in Valhalla. But Alajoki says that everyone on the battlefield is a warrior, and Otar is fighting to protect everyone's mortal flame. Otar is heartened by this. Just then, the watch shouts out, "It's an enemy attack! The Ice Kingdom, the Ice King from Adventure Time is here. No, the Ice Kingdom only feigned a retreat and have broken their way through the defenses. A massive battle commences right within the walls of the fortress. Many warriors deemed lost are now being controlled by the enemy general through sorcery. All seems lost as Otar is grabbed by a giant two-headed Yeti monster. They smash through the barracks, intentionally snuffing out fires. Intentionally or unintentionally?
Yeah, they specifically go after the fires.
Oh, cool. The Yeti is about to use its freeze breath to freeze the entire area, which would kill both Otar and any other warriors, when Captain Alajoki comes from behind and destroys one of the Yeti's heads. The other head fires out ice breath, and before succumbing to the frost, Alajoki tells Otar to run and not let the flame die. The Yeti falls due to its grievous wound, but all seems lost. Otar thinks back to his sister, and how if he dies here, she will receive compensation and should be fine for a while. But he remembers her telling him not to try and accomplish something with his death. The sagas of the warriors who survived their battles and went on long journeys are the most epic and entertaining ones. Those were the words he said to her, and she had returned them to him. Right?
Yeah.
My fortune is yours for the taking. I left everything I own in one piece. It was good. Your wording was good. It's just, we've got brains that have things inside of them. The Ice Kingdom general surveys the battlefield, declaring victory. He comes up to Otar, hunched over with his top exposed to the elements, his shirt missing. Oh my gosh, his top is off. He then sees that Otar is shielding a small fire. Has he lost his mind? But no. Otar says that as long as he has the flame, he can melt everyone, and he won't let them die. But the general has had enough and kicks Otar, calling over a crab monster to finish him off. As the monster prepares a blast. Crab people.
Crab people. Looks like crab. Walks like people.
Walks like people. Very apt. As the monster prepares a blast, Ota reaches out to the flame and recites the blessing. Burn bright and may the spirits protect you. The exhalation from his lungs materializes as it condenses with the frigid air. Out of the steam, the crab monster splits into many pieces. The Ice Kingdom general looks on in shock as Otter stands before him, holding a sword of fire. The heat pushes him back as the sword begins to thank Otter. It says that he brought the flame to life by giving him some of his life force. The Ice Kingdom general orders all the remaining fallen warriors to attack, but Otter takes them out in one swing of the sword. There is nothing else they can do, as he sent them to Valhalla where they should have been already. There will be no mercy here as Otter slices the general in half, his death setting free the warriors who were trapped in ice. The battle is won. As the warriors chase off the remaining monsters, the flame spirit of the sword introduces itself as Filja?
Yep.
Filja, okay. Yeah. They say Otter was chosen because of his warm heart, the warmest on the battlefield. As Otter thinks of how his life is turning into one of those sagas, he falls to the ground and loses consciousness.
End of chapter 1.
End of chapter 1. I had a good time with this, even though I was like, sometimes when I'm like in a hurry, because it was just like, I didn't have a lot of time between when it dropped and when I had a thing this afternoon and then getting back to like look at it again. I still had like it and also genuinely to my intro gag, like getting Icehead Gil flashbacks and going, no! I had a good time with this.
No, this was
solid.
I mean, there's obviously some overlap with Icehead Gil here,
Yeah,
but
no, it is so much better than Icehead Gil.
The execution of this, I read this and I was like, this is a first chapter.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do.
Yeah, this is solid. This is a great first chapter.
And along that vein, I was reading this and I was like, this is an Ichi the Witch thing. This is there's this setup that they're doing. The first chapter gives you the information you need, but not too much. It flowed together properly. It didn't bog you down with lore and stuff.
It planted thematic seeds.
Exactly. And it's obviously like got some of the DNA of a shonen battler going on, but it doesn't have the trappings of a shonen battler.
Yet. But I think that's important. And I think that this is, at least from the first chapter, we're jumping the gun here. Yeah, this feels to me like the next step of evolution in what a Shonen Jump series can be. That I think that Ichi the Witch not necessarily started, but got the memo.
Right. And it's not that those shonen battlers need to go away. I would look at Kagurabachi and go like, well, that's sort of amongst the classic shonen battlers, even though it is doing some new and interesting things. But like, that's sort of like still in the same vein of those. Whereas Ichi the Witch and this feel to me like they're trying to expand on what those did and not just trod down the same path that they have been. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm as like glowing about the future with this one as you are. Like I definitely had a good time with it, and I do think you're right. I think this is a really solid first chapter that goes, here is some major players you're going to be with, here is the situation, here's big hooks, here's little hooks, here's just enough to get you going, here's some rad fucking art.
Yeah, and there's a couple of
there's some of those Viking drawings are just like, I love this. This is rad.
There was some real big hooks.
Yes,
at that one spot.
Are we going to talk about? I shouldn't have put my tablet down because I need to remember the names. The general he finds at the fortress is a giant muscle mommy, right?
The captain.
The captain. Yeah.
So I specifically put they, and because when I was writing it, I was putting in she, and I was like, when you first meet her, it's not clear. It's not clear
because she's got pretty boy syndrome face, which we've seen in other characters. Admittedly, in not Tanjiro, who's the boar in Demon Slayer?
Yeah.
Suke? No, something like that. Him though,
but
like,
name.
It's like a bit that he's like a sort of very pretty feminine face. But we've seen other characters where I'm just like, I had to even with all of my years of anime manga training to not do that, to go Inosuke. Thank you.
Inosuke.
That's a boy or that's a woman, and just being completely like.
But specifically,
but also she got big honkers.
Yeah,
that was the thing that finally like keyed me, and I'm like, oh, those are tits.
Specifically in the summary, I was writing it out, and I got a little farther in. I was like, oh, it's not clear that that's a woman, so I'll go back. I'll put they, and then like 2 pages later,
Yeah, there's that
just
shot.
gigantic
tits.
just
That's
huge.
your experience was my experience, where I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I thought it was a woman, but maybe not. You know, I'm in the woods. You know, we'll keep going. And then that shot happens. It's like, no, those aren't pecs.
Huge, respectfully, they're completely covered.
Yes, they're
but
not ogled, but they're
very
they're
obviously
very
gigantic.
Obviously gigantic. Also, super incredibly jacked. Like, holy shit! Oh my gosh. Okay, getting just enough distracted. Happy Mother's Day. But like, as much as we haven't fully met him yet, I like Oter. I like the concept of the context of like why he's getting power. I love stuff of like I love fire and I love breath as like I always think about like, you know, Fire Force, the fire of our lives, and like breath is the byproduct of life, of living, and to breathe that into fire, which can both take and give life.
Yeah.
I just like there's just a bunch of thematic stuff. Like, you've picked good, well-trodden tools to play this game with, and I like that.
I think he's going to be a good main character because I get the feeling they characterized him like this. Hopefully it stays on this way, but there's this dichotomy of the fact that like he wants to sacrifice himself and like go to Valhalla, but at the same time he's not 100% sure, and he's got people around him that are telling him not to throw his life away. And so I think there's like a lot of times with shonen protagonists, you can have this thing where like from the jump, they're like, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do and everything. And so I like the idea that there is some conflict within his heart.
I also like that he's not like, you're forced to be a cook, and he's like, I hate this. I want to be a warrior. But like, I like that he has aspirations to be a warrior, but he also does enjoy cooking.
Yeah, it's
like,
like
I hope we don't lose.
So he's not a sweet boy, but he's also
a sweet boy.
Not edgy.
He's a sweet boy.
It's definitely towards sweet boy.
He helps all the townsfolk, and everybody gives him gifts when he's leaving. Like, that is big sweet boy behavior.
No, it's definitely on the spectrum of edgy to sweet boy. He's closer. He's very close to sweet boy. But I think because of the conflict that he has.
Okay.
In wanting to be a warrior, but also
you could be a warrior and be a sweet boy. That's what Shonen protagonist is about.
Yeah. But like, I think that there's a difference in how a sweet boy perceives being a warrior and protecting those around him. Okay. Versus,
because I guess it's the idea. I need to go to Valhalla where my dad is.
Right.
But I like that's the concept of give me a sword. So, and I like that she's like, you're a part of this thing. You are going to go to Valhalla like everybody, all the other warriors here. I wonder when you were talking about that, and I wonder, and my data points for this are so small, but I wonder if that's why like Japan is drawn to Vikings, is that idea? Because like when you go like, oh, I'm going to die in battle and go to Valhalla, like that sounds like Bushido, and like the samurai thing of like, that one's more of like, I'm going to commit seppuku to go to die honorably.
Or kamikaze. Yeah. No,
it's like,
almost certainly.
Because like literally one of the main bits of Elusive Samurai is like, hey kid, go to these samurai warriors who are prepped to die valiantly and go like, make sure they don't do that. Like make sure they keep, and like that whole, I mean, to up the comedy of that moment, they're all just like, yep, we're going to die. We're going to go out and we're going to die and we're going to do this. And they're just like super obsessed with it. And the whole point is like, live. Like if you are dead, you can't help the situation. Like your death will be for nothing. You have to keep being alive as a warrior.
Yeah.
Like that's more important than an honorable death. And like, I'm just curious, like, because I give the data point of, I mean, that is a concept. I mean, what's the Norse anime manga that my brain is just Vinland Saga. I think about all of the Viking stuff. I mean, especially literally right now going on in One Piece. It's really hard not to think about Elbaf right now with all of this going on and being maximum Viking Norse pilled at the moment. But no, I dug it. I dug it a lot. I think it had a bunch of fun setup. Like I said, the art was really good in a way that I really enjoyed, where it's just like, here's some cool freaking Viking dudes. Like, I'm hopeful that it finds its feet more moving forward of like what we're going to be doing. But as for like a first chapter, like I was happy with what I got. I was content. Like, I don't think it's too much. This is exactly what we're doing, but I think it set the ship off well.
The Flame Spirit did say this sort of at the end, where she was like, let's go end this war, you know? So, I mean, I think the through line will probably be the defeat of the Ice Kingdom, but is there other stuff to do?
I like that she's the dangling thread. I like at the end of the chapter. Obviously, she's not going to be overall, but like, hey, here's this. You have this Navi. I guess more accurately, Fee.
Yeah,
we're quoting spirits that live in swords from Legend of Zelda. Figure that will help them like guide him through what he's doing, in whatever shape that will take. And it's just like, I'm down with that. Like, I like the main character. I like the art. The setting is cool. I like that it's like they're stuck in winter because of like it's not normally supposed to be like this all the time.
So you mentioned, having a Navi kind of character.
Yeah.
With that. Filja in Norse mythology is a supernatural being or spirit which accompanies a person in connection to their fate or fortune.
Yo!
They can appear to people in their sleep as dream women or appear while awake, often in disembodied spiritual form of an enemy. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I mean, we're pulling from Norse mythology. I mean, what? The fact that I don't think they... I want to say they say it once, but maybe not. Maybe that was just me reading a write-up on it. Not your summary, but another thing. Of like the thing of like them attacking with all of the undead warriors. It's like those are Draugr, and like that is a thing of like their spirits can't go on. They're like maybe they've been resurrected. They should be in Valhalla, but they're not. And it's like I like that. Like that again fits with the whole. I mean, you're cribbing notes from Norse mythology. They're gonna you're gonna link together nicely, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. Like Icehead Gil tried to do that, and Icehead Gil was garbage. It also didn't help that Icehead Gil art was not good.
Yeah. One particular note, the Icelandic word filja can also mean placenta or afterbirth.
I don't think so, Holmes.
Ben did give us some more information here.
He was enticed out.
Otter. It literally means otter, and is the name of a shape-shifting dwarf who Loki accidentally kills while Otter is in the shape of an otter, because Loki wanted the otter's pelt.
Interesting.
According to Ben, it's a whole big thing.
I'm sure it's a big to-do.
So it seems like
I feel like you can read...
There's loose connections to actual Norse mythology here, but it's not one-to-one.
Again, as somebody who's getting told about a bunch of Norse mythology with One Piece theorists and going like, oh, these are the... And there's a lot of good stories to pull from for Norse mythology for this stuff. I just think it's like, I hope it has more that it's going to say outside of that. But like now, like I'm content. I'm happy. I came in frustrated that I had to read a new series in a short amount of time. Jaded that this had showed up and was like, I want. Spoiler alert, we recorded like a billion things last week. And I was just like, I wanted a week off to not have to talk into a microphone. And Jump's like, no, you're talking to the microphone, sucker. And it had so much writing against it outside of anything it had anything to do with. Yeah. And I still had like a really good time with it that I'm like, I'm excited to read the next chapter. I don't think like, I'm not yet about like, oh yes, invest, bang, boom, straight to the moon. But like, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm cool. Let's keep going. Another glass bar keep.
I have high hopes for this. I think I'm in your same boat where it's like, I don't know, like it could go either way. But at the same time, I did get hyped enough on this first chapter. I think it did a lot of things right. And I think, given some of the stuff we've seen recently in Jump, it's really heartening to see something, a first chapter that is this good.
Yeah. I feel like, it's always heartening to get something that feels like it has legs.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's got a style and it knows what it's doing. There's a bunch of stuff we've gotten in the past sets. Like, I feel like, I guess Kyoshi. I feel bad that I dropped Kyoshi. like guilt. Because everybody's still enjoying it. I'm like, I'm sure it's good, but it just felt like we were constantly in like, we're in the last boss fight. And it never felt like, I just want to settle back into like, not just a big combat after big combat in like the 20-30 chapter count.
Yeah. It needed to build up more over time.
It shouldn't have, like, that's why it felt like it's like, it must be nearing the end, because it's like they postponed the ending and then said they did one little middle thing and then it's like, oh no, we're going to do it now. And it's like, oh, I have more fun when you're taking your time and having little human moments and fun little fights and not like Ragnarok, speaking of Norse mythology. But Ichi's good. I like Ichi. I feel like Ichi's the next big one.
Yeah.
Of recent memory.
Well, and I think, having after Nice Prison, which we've forgotten about.
I haven't. I genuinely. Side tangent. I'm the one human on that Discord that loves Nice Prison. It is exactly the Bobobo wacky bullshit that makes no sense. Like, I'm not cackling. Like, it's not Roboco. It's not like, oh my gosh, that was a really good joke. I get serotonin reading Nice Prison, and I'm the only human. And I understand everybody who doesn't like it. Like, this is such a specific. This prison was made for me.
Yeah.
Because there's just that certain flavor of Japanese comedy like that just makes I just like it.
Coming off of Nice Prison,
this is a lot better
to me. Like, we're just doing some more of the same stuff in a slightly different package. What with Chojo and
I don't think I continue to argue against those because it's different. It's more shonen-y roots than just a gag manga, even though it is a gag manga.
But that felt to me more like, oh, this is the same thing of stuff that I'm already not having fun with.
You should be reading Roboco.
Whereas this, while obviously there's some parallels we can draw with Ichi, you can look at Ice's Gill and be
you can look at any freaking big epic story.
But like this feels a lot more different from what else is running in the magazine right now.
I'm curious too. I feel a very stronger desire that we do that Shonen Jump Flop Gems arc to read Red Hood to get a better context on this. Because, like, I know Red Hood...
There's a lot of old stuff we need to cover.
People like Red Hood, but I don't know how much of that is based on later when he thought he knew he was getting the axe, where he just started going crazy meta. Like, that's what I'm aware of, but I haven't read it to know the particulars, so... Like,
oh, right. That was the one where he, like, specifically called out his editors, right?
Yeah. Yep. Which, like, funny. Cool. Like, he's still published here, so...
Apparently it wasn't bad enough to not get back in the magazine.
I wonder if is it just, like, do they have to have another idea that, like, they've pitched and that they like the pitch? Because it's that came out well before I think we started.
Yeah.
At least Shonen Jumping the Gun, let alone the entire. I think maybe during the course of the podcast in the beginning days. I don't know, but like, where is like the Mama Yu guy? Where's he? Like, he's the guy. Like, I want to know what his follow up is, and maybe he's just writing one shots until something clicks. I don't know how this process works.
There's something to this having enough lead time because. The one Reddit post I found because I was trying to look up some information on this, and they were talking about the name and stuff. That was specifically a month ago. They had like a previs picture of Oter.
Oh.
And it was just like a hero
I would
shot
hope it's more than a.
But that was over a month ago.
Because I'd want.
Well, yeah, but
I want the guy to be writing. More chapter prep, but I guess I never know how much run up anything has.
But at the very least, Shonen Jump itself knew over a month ago that this was going in. Maybe not this week, but soon.
Yeah.
So
probably
there's obviously a lot more
to suffer through a golden week where there was nothing.
There's obviously a lot more lead up to these than like we can really see.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah. Let's see. Is there anything, general thoughts, story, art, where can it go? I mean, obviously he's going to fight more of the evil Winter King, Emperor, whatever the heck, his troops, him in general. There's some other baddies. Like, I feel like he's the major thing that they're going to be working at fighting.
I wonder if there's going to be a thing with the fact that he gave some of his life force to bring this flame spirit about, and like, does it need to continue taking his life force for him to use?
I mean, maybe it's the big shonen thing in pressing moments. It's like, you're going to punch with 100 times force, but your arm is going to break. Or like, you're sacrificing a year of your life. Like, that kind of classic.
Right.
But also, it's just like, I sacrifice some of my life and my soul energy, which maybe you can re-get. Maybe that's like the connection point between him and his little spirit girl. So, like, I don't know. But, like, I don't think it'll be this, because it's like, if there's that constant ticking clock, that's not fun. That's just stressful.
But I think there's a mechanic to do something with that.
Yeah, maybe if it like wears him out more. But I think if it's like especially when you're at the beginning of a series, to already start with like, in the future you'll pull from this. You're pulling from your future, and it's like, bitch, you're chapter 1. I don't even know if you're going to get to the future for it to matter you're pulling anything. So it just makes it feel like you're giving a nothing thing here. And I don't think that's what's happening. So
there's also the thing about like, is he being burned by this stuff? Because the art makes it look like he's been burned. But I can't tell if that is what's actually happening or if that's just like an artistic style to show that he's wrapped in flame or something.
I would guess probably that. It did that spread where he pulls the fire sword.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Rad as heck.
And it actually looks like, I guess, sort of more like plasma because it doesn't, like the end of it just looks like light. Like it doesn't look like there's a sword underneath it, which I think is a really good way to do that because it's literally just made out of flame. It isn't like there's an actual sword under there. So I think that was a cool way to portray that.
I don't think I mean, does he have the sword in later frames or is it just like pull it out as an attack?
Yeah,
like
it sort of
fire spirit
goes back and forth between having the full form of the sword versus into sort of like curls of flame.
I like that.
And then the like the little girl version of it and everything.
But yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious if there'll be other things like that around. You know me. I'm always fixing for a rival somewhere. Will he have to cook for a little while? Like, I don't know. Like, there's just
let him cook.
Let him cook. Let the manga cook. Like, I had a good time with this first chapter. I'm gonna read the second chapter. I'm excited about it. Is there anything that wasn't here that you would add to it? I mean, I guess I said mine is I want a rival.
Well, no, and that's the thing is I think this was done really well. Specifically, I'm going to call out Cake Dwarf here because he posted in the Discord about this because he said that he feels that it's a bit rushed. I actually feel like the pacing in this chapter was done really well. Like Icehead Gill was rushed.
I can see it a little bit, but I feel like it hits everything it needs to. It's just moving swiftly. It's whether it will be doing that again next chapter, or if it will it's the hearkening call, the echoing call between all these of like slow down,
right?
And we'll see if chapter 2, because chapter 1, it's like I will always go like you're chapter 1, you're having to get a lot in. Like also what 55 pages.
Something like that.
Yeah, like only a little, like double the normal jump chapter? Because I feel like sometimes they reach up into the 60s and 70s in the first one. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering some of the other ones we've been reading recently, but like...
But I thought that
solid first chapter.
There are places where you could have slowed things down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like any of that was necessary.
I feel like you could have spent more time in the village before you're going off to war so you can feel like you're in your village time.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm not saying that's needed. Like I said, like this then, checks are being written that will then be cashed or not cashed in chapter 2 of, are you going to be constantly going that fast? Because chapter 1s are always like, I will give you the benefit of the doubt that. Because there was enough settled and it went from thing to thing well. It's just like, we set everything up and then we get to actually do what we're doing. I mean, how many first chapters do we read? I mean, that's the whole bit of our show, that when we kept going and it's just like, oh, this was just a taste, and then we kind of settled into the rhythm of what this manga feels like.
Yeah. But I feel like this could fall into the trap of going too slow. Like if you decided, hey, we need to spend more time in the village, you could get to a point where it's just going too long there. I feel like you could do that very easily. But if it had something
to talk about.
Yeah.
But also, because it's like, or you could just set more context between like Otter and his sister and what their situation like.
But I think they sort of did that with the flashback that he had.
Yes, but sometimes it's like the sensation of time between events happening. Like it's a thing that I'm contemplating and thinking about wanting to write this like longer play of mine, where it's just like you can't just string and then this happens and then this happens next. Like you need. Like, a story is more than the things that happen. It is the soup of the setting and the characters, and you need enough of a base of the soup to get that flavor across between things happening. And I'm not saying that Otter is no soup, but it is light soup.
See, I think they did a really good job with that because there's a lot of things in the broth, but there's not a lot of broth. Right.
because we're moving, and that's not bad. Because again, first chapter you want to be like, oh, I'm excited about this big chocked full bowl.
I feel
but like I need like I feel like a story. Maybe this is. I always say future episode things. We don't do them, but still, it's like a story needs the broth, or it is not a stew.
See, but that's
then it's just stuff.
That's my thing. Is I think what we have here in the first couple pages where they're in the village is a really good consommé, because it's not full of stuff, but you take a sip and it's like it tastes like all of the stuff it needs to taste like. Because what happens is we start off and we're like, if you take the whole time in the village as a whole, it's like he's leaving tomorrow. We met him when he's getting ready to leave. He's setting off.
We're kind of starting, not I guess I'd say in media res, but he is actively going to do the thing.
Right. But in doing that, you can see his interactions that he has with the villagers, there with his sister. Like there's the setup stuff there without sitting on it for too long.
But like, what's a few more pages of like before we learn that of him in the village and how he interacts outside of being a good, but like give me a little extra.
It's not wrong.
Like I don't think it needs it. I don't think it's dying for it.
And that's
just
my
like
point.
That's my slowdown thing. It's not like when I say we take more time on something, I'm not just like, oh, like filler episode, just fill the space. It's like no, but it's like there's things to paint. Things don't always have to be happening. Like make me feel I'm in one place, so when we go to the other place, I feel like I've left it.
Yeah,
so I can follow Oter's journey in this situation.
But I think that's what I'm getting at, is that you could have put more in there.
Yes,
I don't think you needed it, and I would worry that putting more in there could fall into a trap of being too slow. Not that it definitely would.
It wouldn't have.
But I feel like it could.
No, slowness is based across chapters. In a single, especially a first chapter, if you could spend a page more in just grounding, I think that would help.
I think that a page or two would have been fine.
That's what I'm saying. I think just a little bit more to make it feel like you're in one place before you go to another. Because it's like when you start from the jump that you're just like, and rough. It's like, that can be good. Like, that's what I said. It's like chapter... Shonen jumping the gun. Like, so much more of this is based on the next couple of chapters are you constantly running this fast? Because if you're constantly running this fast, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, I like the characters so far, but they're not, like, strong enough archetypes. But also, it's just freaking chapter 1. Like, I don't know. Like, I look at Ichi now that it's gotten going, and I go, those character archetypes are really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And they can literally do anything, and I'll be along for the ride. And I think that's what at the heart of what makes a good series is strong characters, both in personality and action and design. And I don't, as much as I like Oter, I don't think he's anybody yet.
I think this is a very similar situation to Ichi. We spent 2 pages to set up. He lived here on this mountain, and he goes to this village, and then we immediately go King of Magic.
We get all the hunting stuff, don't we?
Not all the hunting stuff. It was really not very much of it at all.
We got Death for Death. I remember that because we shouted it.
But that's later on.
Yeah, in chapter 1.
Yeah,
in chapter 1.
But in the same way that in with Oter, he's in the battle, and he has a flashback to.
We
his
never
sister.
see him make food in a situation.
That's fair. He does make it for his sister, but we don't really get to see him doing it.
That's what a page. Give me a page where he grounds a little bit more, and he has a moment where he actually looks like he's enjoying cooking, and we're not just told it. I think that's.
I'll give you that one.
Okay, thank you. So I'm like trying. I'm just
not that I'm not giving you the rest of it. I'm agreeing that. But it doesn't feel like more in there.
It doesn't feel like it. It feels like I'm not getting grounded.
I'm just saying I don't think you needed it.
I think it would help it not feel like we're in a sense of movement.
Sure.
And
if that's what you're feeling reading it, that's valid, obviously.
Yeah, but like, it's the thing it's part of that bigger, like essay topic of like a thing that makes a good series is not necessarily what happens, but it's the characters. It comes down to the characters.
And I think I like the characters. I like Oter.
In an adventure, it's like I like Oter, but I don't think Oter is anybody yet.
Mm.
And I want a wrinkle on him. I think that's the problem. He has no wrinkle.
Well, see,
I haven't been able to experience a wrinkle.
I thought his wavering between like I want to be a warrior and die in battle versus
that's not the wrinkle I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's his like heroic quest. I want his little like I know we're told that he enjoys being a cook, but like I don't get to see that all. Like I want that moment where I can like feel he's not just a piece of the story being moved along.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Like I want a grounding moment that is not just I'm having this big existential thing, which I think is important. Like I don't think he's a bad character. I think the thing that would help me is that I want to slow down just a little bit, not a lot, and I want that time to be spent grounding a little bit. And I think that's what would make it feel more. But also, like we come back to it was Shonen Jump first chapter, teenagers, yada yada yada.
Yep.
But it's like,
which is part of my thing of like, yes, you might feel this way, but I think what it did works, and it's
not bad, but it could. My argument place is it's not bad, but it could be better. It's good, but it could be greater if it did that.
And I guess what I'm getting at is like, it could be better for you. It could be better for me and Cake Dwarf, but for Japanese teens,
I don't care about them. This podcast is not about them. I do not give a fuck about what they think and how it will
if
live
you
or
like
die. It's
this
not what this is about anymore.
enough that you want it to live on, then you have to care somewhat about what the Japanese teenagers think.
We over a year ago, I removed that segment from this podcast because I just stopped caring. That's not what I care about. Because it doesn't matter. Because you know the series that did it that are doing well, Kagurabachi and Ichi the Witch. They made strong characters that grounded them just enough. Then we move forward.
Yeah.
So strong archetypes.
Yeah.
Changed my mind.
Nah. What do you think?
We read Naruto. He's a very clear, strong character from chapter 1.
And then chapter 2, we just grind to a halt.
We had a great chapter where Naruto met himself, but younger, so he got to see what he was, and I liked that moment. I still love that chapter. I'll say it. I said it then, and I'll say it now. Fuck you. I love that chapter. What are your thinky thinks and feeling feels on Otter of the Flame?
I think I'm going with great.
You're thinking or feeling great?
I'm thinking.
You're thinking great?
I'm thinking great.
Okay. What's your feeling?
I feel amazing.
Wow.
I really like this.
You make no sense to me.
Well, if I made sense, this wouldn't be any fun.
No, you could at least be consistent. I think I'm salty because listening to Bugle Call and are just rounding the thing of like, the art's fine. You're like, the art's off. And I'm like, you don't care about art. Why are you dying on this hill? Why are you coming into my yard and claiming this hill and then dying on it?
We're talking about objective things here.
No! Shut the fuck up. I don't know. Sorry. There was a lot of rage. I had a long day that day. It was just like, oh my gosh, just get to another part of the conversation.
Hey, one of those YouTube comments agreed with me.
I'm sure. Good for them. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad you got validated in that moment. Must feel nice. So you think it's great, you feel it's amazing.
Yes.
Wow, jeez.
Let me go into a little bit of detail here for my feelings. Because part of the thing that is elevating this for me is the fact that it is doing something that I feel is different.
Yes.
Not completely original, but it is veering away from the standard tropes of a shonen battler.
We are outside of normal society.
Yeah.
Because we're in magical Norse time.
And it's like a breath of fresh air, I feel. So part of that is elevating it a lot for me. And part of me is there's a lot of us, we're feeling stagnant on things. And I feel like this is bringing life back into the Shonen Jump reading experience.
I enjoyed this, and I wasn't expecting to be the pessimist here, and, like, coming at it. And I didn't think you'd be glowing this much, like, especially with recent stuff we covered from the Young Killers arc. Like, those are my things that I thought were great and amazing, and I don't. To me, Otter of the Flame is not Dead Account, is not Bugle Call.
See, that's funny you say that, because I was just thinking this feels similar to Bugle Call to me.
No, I don't think this is and maybe it's just like the thing of it, and maybe it's just like you're glowing more than I felt, and now I'm frustrated because I'm like, I don't understand you at all. Our tastes are two different species. So Constant. I'm constantly not the one being validated in situations. I live as me. But I guess with all that said, I think this is good burgeoning on great. No, wait. No, I mean that. Yeah. I think it's good burgeoning on great, and I do think, mostly for my frustration, I want to lower it, but before we had that part of the conversation, generally, I do think this is great. I don't think it's more than that. I think it has a lot that it needs to prove to me.
You feel that it's great?
What? I feel that it's great.
Okay.
I think that it's good to great.
So we're pretty close.
No, you're great to amazing. That's an entire other leg up.
Yeah, but you said good to great, which is close to
closer
great.
to good than great.
Okay,
I don't. I know. And I don't know how much of this is based on seeing Icehead Gill, and it's just these adventures where it's here's your main villain. We've already met them, but we don't really interact with them. It's are they the end? Are we doing other things? I'm always maybe there's other things I don't know, but I'm always gun shy when we get a situation where right out of the gate we learn here's the big problem of the world. Here's the thing causing it. Once we solve that problem, it's over. And maybe that's why I'm judging them based off of things that I want to be long running.
Well, I feel like this is halfway for that.
When you've pointed at this is what the problem is that needs solving right out of the gate, I feel like it gives you a time limit. But and either you have to figure out another problem to solve after that, or you take way too long to solve it, or you are, by virtue of being canceled, you are forced to rush it.
Yeah. But I don't think that they revealed all the cards here.
No, but I feel anytime that happens, I always feel more penned in by a series than not. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad choice if it's but it's when you're in Jump and the intention is you're going to run for a long time and have arcs, it makes it feel like you've penned yourself in more. Yeah. By virtue of going well, we're in this endless winter and he's the guy in charge of it. And if we're not getting to him, we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs. And we know this from moment one.
I'm going to tell you this. I prefer that over the traditional thing that Shonen Battlers do, which is where they just keep upping the stakes after every arc.
Because otherwise you're just going, when are we going to get to the guy? We're wasting time. I think if you get that, for a moment when I want a sandbox that gets bigger and bigger than my imagination with each new arc. And when you've set your this is the final date of the adventure of we have to fight this guy and then we're done. That's not the joy. It's not the joy that I get playing fucking Undertale when you've been taught the particular gameplay style, moving around that box, and then you get to a boss fight and the box is moving and elongating, and it's just you thought you were playing in this small sandbox, but in fact you were playing in this much bigger one. That is one of the joys, the great joys that I get in a shonen adventure story, is the world getting bigger and bigger than I could have imagined. And that's really exciting to me. And I feel when you call your shot and you go, this is the box of which the story will exist in, I don't think that's bad, but it's a bummer. And obviously it's the first chapter. There's no fucking lines. 55 pages, Jesus Christ. But that's I like being sold on possibility.
I get where you're coming from.
Okay.
I don't completely disagree.
Okay.
But when I look at something like Bleach or Naruto, what else was I thinking? There was another one.
I can maybe help you when you...
I look at those and Dragon Ball. There's this thing that happens where you get to the end of something and you're we've just fought the big bad. Naruto is the prime example because we got the Akatsuki really early on, and it was this is the end game. The Akatsuki, they're trying to take the Jinchuriki and they're going to take over the world and everything. And then you sort of find out it's actually Madara that's behind it. Oh, but it's not Madara. And so there's this thing going on. And then you have this big, huge battle at the end. And then you find out, oh no, there's another thing to do here.
That's on the author to do. Cause that's the thing that I don't like that Demon Slayer does, where it's just Tanjiro barely scrapes out of every fight, but the next guy up that he has to fight is so many much more times stronger than that, and it's this fight was already bullshit. I don't like that. There's a certain amount where it's just okay, guys, you didn't keep track of it.
But there's a middle ground for that.
It's a cheat to point to One Piece. I love One Piece's scope increase. So the scope increase on One Piece is
But see, I
Because
think
like there's guys you hear about that you don't meet for ages,
Yeah.
and you can feel that sense. Like when you go back to the beginning of One Piece, you genuinely, I mean, literally like Luffy, you feel like you're in a little dinghy boat
I
compared to like
think-
what we're doing now.
I
It's
think
insane.
One Piece is an example of doing it pretty well.
One Piece
There
is
are-
an example of doing it immaculately.
I can think of some examples where it's like, oh, you didn't think about how big these battles were going to get before. But a lot of it, you look at Zoro versus Mihawk at the Barati,
Yep.
and you're like, yeah, Mihawk barely even flexes a muscle to destroy Zoro.
Yeah, I love that.
And that sets you up for how powerful things
And
are
he's
going to
not
get.
even one of the top guys.
Right. So, I think that's the way you have to go about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the shonen battlers, they don't. It feels like they didn't have it all figured out ahead of time, and they're just like scrambling to go higher and higher.
Yeah.
I think Dragon Ball is a good example of that because we went for so long in original Dragon Ball where like Goku was going after the Red Ribbon Army and stuff like that. You had these.
He was fighting
and then you
different
look
kinds
at
of
King
enemies.
Piccolo, and it's like, okay, we've got this, our sights set on these power levels here, and then you get to the Saiyan saga, and you look at Raditz and Vegeta and Frieza, and you just be like, this is insane.
Yeah, we've expanded beyond Earth.
Yeah. But like it's so far beyond what it was originally. It's like it's not even the same series.
But that's exciting.
It can be.
Yeah.
And if you're following it for years and years,
I mean, it's the lame statement of if this was good, it would be good. I mean, because it's like, and also it's the weirdness of you never know. I look at like there's stuff in Hunter x Hunter where it's like stuff going on, and then it's like, I mean, I would re-experience again at some point to freshen in my brain, but it's like I remember hearing for years about the Chimera Ant arc, and then I like finally read it a few years ago, just reading through all of Hunter x Hunter. I'm like, no, people weren't joking. That is literally one of the greatest things I've ever read. And it's just them, just sort of the guy just going bebopping, going, "This is a story I want to tell now," and he tells that story in this setting.
I just I don't want it to do that thing where
You don't want
things
you don't want scope creep.
and not just scope creep that feels like you didn't know it needed to do this later, where it just feels like bullshit you had to add on.
Oh yeah, again, the statement of if it was good, it'd be good, and if it's bad, it will be bad. If you do a thing badly, it won't be good. Which again, it sounds like a bullshit sentence,
No,
but it feels fitting here.
Yeah, because there's ways you can do it right.
And there's ways. I love Toriko because Toriko is the most just bullshitting higher and higher stuff, but it's just such a goofy, wacky time that I'm just like, this is dumb, but sure, I'll let you.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't take yourself seriously, you can do whatever the
I'll
hell
let you
want.
constantly crank up the knob. Because at like the first arc little chapter thing, there's something that's like, this thing's like an 8 or a 9 and it could like crush tanks and kill most people. And then it's like, oh, after that, most things we deal with are in like double digits up into the 30s.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. But like that one is so just about cranking the knob up constantly and gaining more power and all that it's like fun. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed the bullshit of it. But yeah, it's a balancing act. And who knows if that'll even be a thing here. Maybe this is just we're in and out story, but it's like it's the bop on the nose of instantly out of the gate feeling like, okay, here's our end point. Like I don't feel like
I guess I
feel
sort
like
of
some of the surprise
feel
has been taken from me.
like you're sort of making a monkey's paw wish. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
What's my wish?
Where it's like, oh, you want the world to be so much wider, so don't box yourself in right away. But in wishing that, things could go off the rails in a bad way.
Yeah. And maybe it's just the boomer one in me of wanting to re-experience some of that old feeling with just something new.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is my body knows, even if it doesn't know what's going to happen, it has a sensation of how this should move and escalate moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't necessarily know what's going to happen. And it's like Jujutsu Kaisen did that sometimes and then just kicked it sometimes as well. And it moved in wacky ways. And it's probably a better work for doing that, but it's not like the comfy thing I wanted it to be because of that.
Yeah.
So it's like a catch-22 about it a little bit.
Catch-22, monkey's paw wish.
Yeah.
All of those vague references.
Yes. 23 Skidoo. Would I buy Otar of the Flame? I'd borrow it from the library.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive on this.
I'm
right
not
now.
like that's my feelings because it's like, and maybe again it's the context I read it where I was like, oh, I was in a rush, I didn't have enough time to like emotionally beforehand and after and like settling to my body, but I mean I still had a good time with it, but it wasn't like when I came off of like again nice to have that on nearby hand. When I came off of Dead Account and Bugle Call, I was just like, yo, give me the next chapter. I'm so excited about this. Like this fills me full of excitement and hope about what could be.
This is one where I feel like I would buy the first chapter.
You mean volume?
Buy the first volume to see if I want to buy more of it.
Yep,
like
that sounds right.
Not buying it because I'm so into it that I have to have it on my shelf, but buying it because I want to support it and it has the potential to be a really good long-running thing.
Yeah. I think I'd be where you were if my contrarianism didn't kick in uncontrollably. I'm like trying to check into my body more because genuinely like I did think this was a solid first chapter, but I think digging into it, like I found things that made it feel a little like I wish it did these things, and also like seeing those things in other first chapters we read where it just felt like it was like, but it just happened to be that this one was like, oh, I like this setting, I like this character, I like this art, I like this setup, like it just did a lot of things that I liked. Like art is more. I mean, I've been saying that in other forms too in recent episodes. Like art as a collective thing is more than its individual pieces. And that's why certain things can work with something and certain things cannot work with it. But at the end of the day, it's in the form that it's in. Like we can't get that other timeline where it's like, it's mostly the same thing, but the author did this little small change instead of that thing. It's like it's impossible to know what that would be because we have two versions of it in our head, and the one you get first is the one you're going to decide on because that's how it works.
The multiverse version of this show. We can pick one up from a couple universes over.
That'd be a fun gimmick episode where we just sort of bullshit a different first chapter for a really well-known series. Maybe that'll be 100. One Piece, but the first chapter was shit. Jokes aside, I think that would actually be a really good episode, is like taking a chapter that was really good. A first chapter was like, it's like, we've read so many not good first chapters. How could you ruin a good first chapter with the thing all the bad first chapters are doing?
I mean, we could plan April Fool's Day next year.
Yeah, maybe. I just like, because it was just like, oh, it's not about, it's because like, yeah, you could fix things and that'd be fun, but it's like, how do you ruin something we agree on is good and knows what it was doing? Like, why? How would you? Because I feel like there's something in learning and making a bad thing good, but I feel like there's also something to be learned about.
And what's the smallest thing you could change to do that?
What are the things that make bad first chapters bad? And what if you put those in a good thing? How many of those could you do until it broke? I don't think we need to high noon, even if I was playing the contrarian.
We were very close.
We shouldn't have. I would have won. Like I would have pointed the gun at my own head and said I shouldn't have done that. That was too mean. I just got really uppity and frustrated. Bugle Call was seeping into me.
I'm sorry, I like things.
Don't you motherfucking bring sorry. Sucks to say. It's nice to enjoy things. Yeah, I fucking know. I enjoyed this chapter, asshole.
Don't you like things more than I like things?
Yeah, I watched fucking Sinners today. It was one of the best movies I've watched in recent memories. Fuck you.
Don't know what that has to do with anything.
Because I guess it was that I came out, like, I consumed 2 pieces of art today. The first chapter of this and Sinners. And one of them was a class above the other, but also one of them was 55 pages of black and white manga, and the other one was like 3 hours of cinematic excellence. And there's literally no way they could ever compare to each other by virtue of like so many different measurements. There's literally no reason to measure these things against each other. It'd be a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, it would.
I'm gonna stop. Brad, end me. Kill me. Read the credits.
Well, as always, we need to thank Sugoi Mart.
What an episode. Oof. I wasn't expecting that going in, but here's me coming in spicy.
Always expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Thanks to Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch. Lots of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. Our listeners can use the link in the description or code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order. And we want to hear from you, so check us out on social media, which you can find links for on our website, animepodcastreincarnation.com. All our social links are up there, and the best place to chat with us is Discord. So jump on our Discord and come hang out. We are already talking about this series on the Discord.
Before we even started recording this.
Yeah.
I'm sure this will only help. I'm sure my position will only help that discourse be even better.
You can also find a link up there for our Patreon, where our supporters get perks like bonus episodes, getting the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early, which is especially important for these episodes. You get these episodes like the
24
day
hours.
It drops, like within 24 hours of the series dropping. So, and also getting to vote on what we cover on Heron Addiction. And of course, we have to shout out all our patrons. So first and foremost, at our noble tier, we have our marquee, Sir Cake Dwarf.
Yes, I've just swapped over to Jurassic Park now. So much better.
Where's your melodica?
Upstairs.
At our reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last, but certainly not least, at our commoner tier, we've got Rena. So thank you so much to all our patrons.
Thank you, Brad, for that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Make sure you listen to all the podcasts on our feed. And you know what, Brad? I got a little bit heated there. I'm going to do some breathing exercises, okay?
Oh, shit, there goes your soul.
Oh, good. Oh, no. Get the fire extinguisher.
These are just good.
It's just sugar.
Like,
It's just fucking sugar. Like, yes, of course.
but like, the amount of sour that they are just feels like the sour that it should be, you know?
I wonder if you cleaned off one of the warheads inside one of those sodas. If it would combine.
By your powers combined, I am...
The lemon face. But as a child, he won't be in fighting.
He won't be in fighting.
He won't be in fighting. The other head fries out ice breath. Fries out?
It does say fries, doesn't it?
Yes.
Fires.
Fires. Thank you. That was not me.
Nope.
Brad, I'm going to derail you right now, and this can go after the beeps. Were you thinking about Jurassic Park a few weeks ago because you were editing the Bugle Call episode?
No, I didn't edit that until last week.
Okay, because I was just like, when I heard the ending bits, I'm like, oh, that's why he was thinking about Jurassic Park.
And when I was editing it, I was like,
about Jurassic Park.
It must have been because we recorded Bugle Call.
No, but that was ages ago.
I know, but stuff sticks in my brain.
I guess. I don't know. Side note, thank you. Whatever you did to my melodica playing made it sound incredible.
Right.
That sounded really fucking good. And some other bits you did after the beeps that I can't remember now.
It was
what they
just
would
a little bit of reverb and
it sounded so legit.
something else.
I was so surprised about it. I'm like, I played that came out of me and my melodica. Holy shit.
The what's it called? The saxophone one?
Oh, when I played Epic Sax Guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was another good one.
I had to cut that
Yeah,
one.
that one I fucked
and
up
like
a lot.
fit it together just right, and I think I did a really good
You did a
job.
really good job because it's like I don't remember playing it all together more than
No,
maybe
you
once
didn't.
if that. You didn't. They didn't.